and you need
Right.
to try these on. And when I was a kid, it was like your mom would like, and even when I was like a tween and a teenager, first of all, my mom's paying for the clothes. So she's hovering, right? So she's hovering outside the door and just going like, does this fit? How about this? Bringing more stuff. Let me see, blah, blah, blah. He wanted none of that. You know what I mean? Like, where I was just kind of like, well, have you tried? He's in there for a while. Nothing's happening. I'm like, have you tried on anything yet? Like, have you actually gotten your pants off and put on another pair of pants? And he's like, Mom, oh, I'm like, oh boy. That was my getting ready for school experience yesterday.
We're on the countdown to the new school year. Natasha and I talk about all the things we're doing to help our kiddos get ready, and some of them might be obvious and some might be surprising. So tune on in to the next Harness the Power of Planning podcast coming up now. Hello.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is, or afternoon if you're joining us from the East Coast. I am Natasha.
I'm Alegre.
And together we are Beyond Your Wildest Dreams, or BYWD. And our mission is to help you learn to prioritize yourself, save time, and achieve your goals, not somebody else's goals.
For those of you who are watching live, we actually put this out as the Harness the Power of Planning podcast. It's available on all platforms. And this will actually be episode, I think, 65. Whoop, whoop.
We chat a little, and we have a subject that we talk about too. We chat about what's going on in our world. And what is going on in our world right now, Allegra?
Well, what is going on in our world? Well, so our topic today, just so you know, is preparing yourself and your kiddos for the new school year. So that
what's going on in my world right now.
Yeah. So it's kind of like what's going on in our world as well as it's the topic. But before we get into that, I had something that I thought was interesting, which was if you look really close at the screen, you can see that I have a dot for spots right here because, spots never go away, or as we call them in America, pimples. I do prefer, this is one of the few cases where I prefer the British term spots. And so this is a dot for spot. And you know what I love about this generation? What is our kids' generation called, by the way?
I think they're Gen Alpha.
Gen Alpha?
Yeah.
So what is that, kids born after 2010? Because they're not millennials?
No, they're not, and they're not Gen Z. Gen Alpha, I think.
Okay, well,
I think it's Gen Alpha.
So I guess we've come back around, right? We went through XYZ, and now we are not so creatively. But I think it almost is, generations are almost something that should really be named looking backwards, because you don't really know what they're going to be when they're born. So anyway.
Yeah. Totally, completely, sure.
Right. Like, let's categorize them after they've done some stuff rather than. So, okay, for sake of something that makes sense, then let's say people born after 2005 or after 2010. So 5 to 10 years after the millennium. So what I love about this generation is that they will go around wearing a dot for spot everywhere. Like, remember when we were growing up, if you had a spot, you were like getting makeup, you were doing cover up.
And then the thing about that, though, is it just made it worse, right? Because it would just be this thick, like, it'd be on there for a little while. It looked good when you first apply it, but very shortly after, because your pimple is so oily and stuff, it just would separate and it would just look nasty.
Yeah.
Like, more attention to it, I think, and it just probably didn't help it clear up faster.
No.
Had special clearing, even if you had like special like zit covering, cover up, I guess you call it.
Cover up. Flesh colored spackle.
Concealer, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah. And even if you had that stuff that had special like medicine in it or whatever, it never looked good. Never, ever.
No.
Everybody was it. You weren't fooling anyone. But it was
one was being fooled. And so I love that instead this generation has really embraced like, well, I'm going to put on this thing. It's going to help it get better. It does help it get better.
Right.
They work because my husband and I have totally embraced them. I got them for my little, and we're like, "Hey, those work. Let's start using them."
They totally work, and I love that they have them in stars. My son, when he started breaking out and stuff, and I was like, "Hey," we went online, and I was like, "Pick which ones you want." He liked little kitties. They were like little kitty faces.
All over.
I love that they're just like stickers. It's like part of your expression. It's kind of like, yeah, I got a zit, but look, I have a little blue star or a heart or whatever, and it just,
Yeah.
cute.
Like, we all know what's under there. We all have them. They
Right?
they happen.
Not fooling
And yeah,
anybody.
exactly. So that's what I
Mhm.
love about it, and I feel like, hey, it's working backwards because it's influencing us parents at going around with these things. And, I don't know if we go around with them on purpose or if we go around with them because they're so subtle. For people listening to the podcast, it's a clear patch that is how big is it? The size of like a push pin head.
Yeah, it's
Not the
tiny.
size of a push pin, but the tack side, right? So
Yeah,
the
right.
plastic side. And so you really don't notice them unless you're having coffee with somebody. Like, if anyone's looking right now, it's probably hard to see, but it's right there.
Can't see it.
Right there. And yeah, it's changed how my husband and I deal with them, and I feel like it's just more honest, and hey, we're also doing something that's helping to heal them, so it's just better.
I think it's great. I just think overall, it's just there's so much more acceptance of like showing up how you are, right? You want you
Yes.
you want to have you want to shave your armpits, you don't want to shave your armpits. Like it's much less of a big deal. You know what I mean? You want to shave your legs, you don't want to shave your legs. There's just so much more acceptance of just like people showing up how they are and not needing to groom their way into like,
A box.
particular box. Right, exactly. Right. So it's just like, yeah, we've
Absolutely.
got this. So what? Right? No big deal. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So our topic today is so consuming in terms of what we're actually going through. It's gonna be our chat and our topic, right?
Yeah.
Prepping for the new skill year. What have you been up to?
Well, we just went to orientation yesterday, which was a big leap forward in preparation for high school. The middle school orientation I'll be going to will be next week. We'll just be right before school starts, so that's a little ways off. But it was really great to just I've been on the campus before for a tour and some other times, but to get a little bit more of lay of the land was like really great. And for my son too, like he got his locker, he got to see where his locker was, that kind of thing. Got the Chromebook that they give you, and just navigating that stuff. We actually went school clothes shopping, which is something like I mentioned last week, is something like we just haven't done because he's had a uniform, and it was just kind of like, all right, we'll get pants that, black pants that fit and collared shirts that fit, and that's it. So I went shopping yesterday with a 13-year-old boy. That was exercise, and just, I mean, in general, I don't know how often you go clothes shopping out in the world with your daughter. Like so much of what we purchased has been online, right? Especially during the pandemic and stuff.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I have one son who's a little bit more like fashion conscious, or just, I wouldn't say fashion conscious, but he has a little bit more like, oh, I want to wear this kind of, way in the world. And the other one,
Opinions.
yeah. And the other one's just like, does it fit? Is it clean? Okay, fine. Like that's where he's at. Right. So that's the one I went
Right.
shopping yesterday. And I was like, honey, we need to go get you some jeans that fit you, because I had purchased a few just online because I thought I knew what his size was. And
They didn't
he did
work.
not like them. They fit him actually, and they fit
Uh-huh.
fine. But he doesn't. They feel too tight around his legs. He's like, stop buying me skinny jeans. I'm like, these are regular straight jeans. He's like, they're so tight. I'm like, they're just regular. So anyway, I was like, we need to step into a store and you need
Right.
to try these on. And when I was a kid, it was like your mom would like, and even when I was like a tween and a teenager, first of all, my mom's paying for the clothes, so she's hovering, right? So she's hovering outside the door and just going like, does this fit? How about this? Bringing more stuff. Let me see. Blah blah blah. He wanted none of that. You know what I mean? Like, where I was just kind of like, well, have you tried? He's in there for a while. Nothing's happening. I'm like, have you tried on anything yet? Like, have you actually gotten your pants off and put on another pair of pants? And he's like, Mom. Oh, I'm like, oh boy. That was my getting ready for school experience yesterday. He was able to narrow it down. I didn't get to see anything, but he narrowed it down to a no, maybes, and two yeses, and one of the maybes became a yes. So it worked out. And the thing is, like, even if I think it looks good and even if I think it fits, if he doesn't want to wear it,
Right. It doesn't
It
matter.
doesn't matter if it's on sale, it's the best looking pair of pants ever. It'll just hang in his closet. So, like I've learned that lesson, unfortunately. I'm like, oh, these are so cute. Oh, they fit you so nice. Blah, 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 blah. Never wears it unless it's under like direct pressure and me like going, you're going to wear this, kind of thing, which doesn't happen
Right.
often. So that beautiful pair of pants just sits in the closet till he gets too big for them. And then it goes sit in the other one's closet. And then he gets so, so I was like, we're going to try something new. We're going to try things on at the store, which is not something we've
Which
done.
is, yeah, a whole new experience for some kids in this generation, right?
It is for sure for him. And also like, I was just treading lightly. The sales lady at, who was monitoring the fitting rooms was like, is everything okay? And I'm like, oh no, it's fine. I'm just shopping with a 13-year-old. It's fine. Everything's fine. And I'm just like, honey. He's like, what? I'm like, oh boy. Ooh. It's all good. And he was happy. In the end, we walked out of there with 3 pairs of pants that he likes that fit him and he's gonna, wear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where we just been at that stage at the moment. And then the other one needs a new backpack and he's nervous. Yesterday he just dropped in that he's got one more week of summer after this week and then middle school and he's like like he just dropped it in yesterday, so there was a little bit of a panic.
Your middle schooler just dropped in?
Yeah. Just dropped
So
it in.
you've been to a middle school orientation before. What's the difference between a middle school orientation and a high school orientation?
It's just very well, I think school by school it's very different. The high school that we're going to a magnet school, which I know you're familiar with, but those of you not aware of what a magnet is, it's usually a smaller school on a residential school's campus. It's a smaller school that's kind of specialized. And so
it might be specific to LA, this term magnet, correct?
I think
I was just reading something and I know it was created in LA in 1977. And so maybe other places have since created them.
I think there are others because I have friends in New York who have their kids go to like just a regular residential school and one of them goes to private schools and whatnot. But they do have charter schools for sure, and some magnets I think exist.
Well, just to give a quick definition, so a magnet school is a traditional public school. It's not a charter school. Like I said, it goes back to the 70s.
It can be a charter school.
It can be, but I just want to separate it from charter schools, which are recent. Right, charter schools have been around only for like the last 10 years. Magnet schools have been around since the 70s, and they're run mostly by LAUSD, the public school system, mostly. And they were created to be specific to a subject or a theme. So it could be like a journalism magnet, it could be an arts magnet, and it could be a highly gifted magnet. And the whole idea, it's called a magnet because it's attracting students from outside the typical residential area. So your home school is the school you're supposed to go to based on your address. A magnet school might be outside of that area.
Absolutely. And you can go from and this is a humongous school district. And so you can literally any school you want to. It is open to you. It's just a matter of getting there in a timely manner because it is literally, it's humongous in its size and its scope as far as, actual square footage. It's very big. So this
or square mileage.
Square mileage. Yeah, there we go. It's much better, much easier. And so this magnet is much smaller this high school is going to a very large campus. In fact, it has 2 magnets on the campus. So it's a much smaller school inside the bigger school. And it was a much more intimate orientation. And I can't really compare it to my son when he went to the middle school because it was during COVID. And so they didn't have,
I see.
They were just coming out of COVID. So we didn't have an in-person, it was on Zoom. So, you know how a Zoom meeting is, right? So you don't really get a feel. You just get a bunch of rules and slides and, that's it. So this was a little bit different. Like the Booster Club was there and they were selling T-shirts and mugs and things like that and seeing if parents wanted to get involved. And we got to, you get to meet all these teachers in person. And then you get to go kind of like check out the layout, right? Like where the classrooms are and what building they're in and that kind of thing.
So kind of like an open house.
It is like an open house. Exactly. And you get to ask a bunch of questions and the kids got to do a scavenger hunt. So it was a lot more obviously interactive would be on a Zoom call, right? So that was his high school orientation. And as far as the middle school orientation, my my new middle schooler, they did like a welcome at the beginning of the summer, and then this orientation is happening next week, where it's, you know, you'll get your Chromebook, you'll get your schedule and that kind of thing, which is a much bigger leap, right? Going from
Mhm.
having been in the same classroom with the same teacher all day long,
Yeah.
to, you know, six
So
different classes.
moving around.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to get to class on time. You know, I remember going into seventh grade and just being like, "Am I gonna make it? Is 3 minutes enough time to get to my locker?" You know what I mean? Like, just you're just carrying all of your books all day long because you were afraid that you weren't going to be able to make it to your locker. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be a little bit different for him for sure. But you know, the principal of that school was she was lovely, and she she said, you know, I paid particular attention to my sixth graders. She's like, because they they need they're
Right.
transitioning, right, in a different way.
Yeah,
Um,
the transition, I think those transition years are so key, and maybe even more important to pay a little extra attention to your kiddos' countdown to the school year if they're starting at a new school. So, you know, like you been doing some clothes prepping. We haven't done any shopping yet, but about 2 weeks ago, I put out a ask to my Buy Nothing group. If you listened to us talk before, you know we're huge Buy Nothing fans. Join your local Buy Nothing group. You can find it, you know, on
Amazing.
Google or Facebook or
You will
whatever.
be amazed at
You Yeah, you will be
what
amazed,
people will do
yes.
for you and what people will give. It's amazing.
Yeah, so about 3 weeks ago, I said to my kiddo, "Hey, are there some things that you feel like you would like in your wardrobe?" And she said some jeans, some jean shorts, she'd like some more tank tops, and some casual blouses were things she said. And I said, "Okay, I will ask on the Buy Nothing, and hopefully we'll get everything there. However, on your side, I need you to go through your closet and edit anything that doesn't fit or that you're not gonna wear, because I want it to be easier for you to get dressed every morning. And then if there's anything else that's missing, then we'll do some shopping." So we've
Yeah.
been getting clothes from the Buy Nothing from about 4 different people over the last
Oh,
couple
nice.
weeks.
Nice. That's
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
she got all the blouses she wanted. She got some jean shorts that she wanted, but I think we are gonna have to do a trip for some jeans. But one of the other practices I'm trying to get her into in this lead up to the school year is picking out her outfit the night before.
Mhm.
And this is something that Natasha and I have talked about in our book, Rock Your Morning. So we have a bouquet of workbooks. They all take about an hour to go through, and they're all designed to help you reclaim time and energy, busy moms, because we know what that's like,
Mhm.
or any caregiver. But you know, we always are talking to moms because, hey, we don't get talked to a lot, moms. So anyway, so Rock Your Morning, we do have a chapter on setting yourself up for success by having an evening ritual. And one of the things I've always found really has helped me in my life is if I do have somewhere important to go the next day, I pick out my outfit the night before just so that I don't have to think about that, because
Mhm.
when morning starts and unexpected things happen, you can feel rushed and stressed. And so that's been a habit I've really been working on getting her to establish in these last few weeks before school starts, picking out her outfit the night before.
Yeah. Yeah. My younger one, the new middle schooler, he does that already. He's done that
Oh,
for a while
great.
now. He's the one who cares about what he wears, right? So he's like, so he will, and he also just, you know, he lays it right by the door, like on the, that's where he wants it. You know, I was like, what about putting
Yeah.
it there? He wants it by the door on the floor. So that's where he puts it. But yeah, he will try to sleep in his clothes for the night. I'm like,
I
let's
did that at one point.
yeah, he's like he wants to sleep in the outfit the night. It's usually because it's usually just like t-shirts and sweatpants, or well, you know, or like you know, sports shorts. It's not like anything matters if it gets wrinkled, but
It's
um,
not a suit and tie. He's not Alex P. Keaton.
exactly. So Alex Peaky, yes. Although he's the one that when he turns like 7, he wanted a suit, like a 3-piece suit for Christmas. Yeah, he got it. He got a suit. Like he got it. He
Oh,
was so happy. It was so cute.
I'm sure you were so happy too. How cute that must have been.
It was so cute. He got 3 suits that Christmas. He got my sister she bought all of us, the whole family, Adidas tracksuits, not all matching, but all different. So
Hmm.
Adidas tracksuit. He also got like a race car suit, eraser suit, and it was the Christmas of suits and his 3-piece suit. So he was so happy. Anyway, uh, same. Like it's much harder for me to get my high schooler to pick out his stuff the night before. It's all like, whatever, mom, blah blah blah. That's so we're in that stage. Um,
Mm.
Delightful. But the thing that I have done basically since my kids have started to go to school is do an AM, PM, and afternoon, or like so evening, morning, and afternoon checklist check sheet. And what's great is that after a while, after them using it, it just becomes habit, right? So in the
Mhm.
and when they were really little, we have two floors in our house. I had an upstairs check sheet and a downstairs check sheet because often they would come downstairs and have forgotten their socks, right? So they have to go back upstairs. So there's certain things that just like make sure you have all these things before you come downstairs and eat breakfast.
Mhm.
Da, da, da. So I don't do the upstairs downstairs check sheets anymore, but I do have a morning check sheet checklist, and of course an evening one, which includes picking out your outfit the night before. And then the afternoon one was one that I implemented a couple years ago, which I hadn't, was just that they were kept coming home and they were forgetting to like take important papers out of their backpack that I need to sign,
Mm.
or empty out your lunchbox and clean it and it's ready for me preparing your next lunch. So that was something that I had to get into the habit of too. So there's like an after school checklist that as
Mhm.
soon as you get home, make sure you do these 3 or 4 things. And then of course the checklist before you go to bed. Right. So, and I'm modifying that. So I'm going to be opening up my checklist sheet that I have saved on my computer and going through
Mhm.
modifying it for this age and stage that we're in right now.
Well, and I just wanna let everyone know that the idea of these checklists, it might sound like more work for you. However, the reality is establishing a habit takes time. It can take as long as 3 months, and honestly, if the people aren't doing it regularly, it can take longer than that. So the checklist is what helps to establish it as a habit, but once it's a habit, then you won't need a checklist because they'll just do it automatically, and so
And
create the checklist. It's a
100,
one-time thing. I know I've seen one of your checklists is on a whiteboard, so it's not even like you have to print something out,
oh
right?
yeah,
You just check
yeah, we
and
do
then wipe
it.
it off.
We did, yeah. I've done it several different ways. When they were really young, I did it like on a piece of cardstock, and
Mhm.
it was before they were able to really read, especially the young one, and just had like little pictures, right?
Yeah.
And they had a little magnet, and when they did it, they take the bottom of the checklist and had a little check mark, and you put it up, and the magnet was there. So every day, I just boop boop boop, take the magnets down, and then they would
Yeah.
just and I had let them pick out the colors. Like I tried to make it as attractive as possible to them, right? So it was like glitter blue, and like so when they were younger, it was very, cute and interactive.
Right, it was engaging,
Yeah,
which
it's just a
makes
land.
things more likely to happen because it's fun.
Absolutely. And I look at it like whatever time it takes me to make those, because that was really labor intensive. It was like really crafty, but also, yay, I got my craft done. I was super happy about that.
Uh-huh.
Um, but now they are, yeah, I just laminate them and they just, they check them off with a dry erase marker. Um,
Mhm.
and the other thing is like, I just look at it as like an anti-nagging sheet, because I don't want to have to ask you 700 times if you've brushed your teeth or whatever. I mean, they brush that part, they actually do, no problem. But whatever it is, like, did you like the night before? Did you plug in your Chromebook? Is it ready? Is it charged? Is it ready to go? Like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
You're now going to be going from transitioning from homeschool to public school. Allegra, you're going to be getting a lot of messages from teachers and
Yes, already. It's already
about
been happening.
like make sure your child's Chromebook is charged and ready to go. Like that's a thing that I got a lot last year, because I guess my son's grade, they were coming in with dead Chromebooks, which
Mm.
they don't have places to plug everyone's Chromebook in the middle of class. So make sure your child's, so that's on the evening checklist, right? So that type of thing. After a while, I don't have to nag. And what I can say is your checklist complete? It's a much broader question than did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? It's like check your checklist. If there's anything else, so that's one thing that I can also say on. Maybe I'm making lunch and I'm like, or making lunches in the morning, and I can say, is your checklist complete? Right?
Mhm.
That's a question, so they can go back to there, and I don't have to monitor every little thing
Right.
on that checklist. Because
Yeah, it becomes its own reminder.
yes, and I forget. I forget
And
what they're behind them.
And if your kiddo is not the sort of person who's just going to accept a checklist, by all means, have a little chat beforehand and say, "Hey, I want to help set you up for success for the school year. What are some things that we can agree are going to help you out?" they might even have ideas that you might not have thought of that will help them because it's something that they struggle with. And by the way, if you wanna get a copy, if you wanna see what Natasha's checklist looks like, if you wanna get a copy of a countdown to the new school year, go to our website, bywdreams.com, sign up for a mailing list. We're gonna send out an email with these attachments for you so that you can use them. But, like, one thing sometimes if I'm getting pushback from a kiddo on something that I wanna do, I will do some research online and find a video that I think will appeal to her, and so I'll say, "Look, here are the benefits of having a nightly checklist before you go to school." And it just sometimes it's just helpful for them to hear it from a voice that's different from your own.
100%. 100%.
And then once they see that and they kinda have some more buy-in, then let's have a chat about what are the things that you think will be helpful. And then, yeah, like you said, it's an anti-nagging tool, which
I don't wanna nag, and nobody wants to be nagged, right? It's like, no,
yeah.
that nobody wants it. It's not fun for anyone. Plus, oh, I had a thought, and now I am having a menopause moment. But for like, but like my son absolutely needs me to come with research,
Mm,
science-backed things, right? So, and
mhm.
he loves YouTube, so you show him a YouTube, and I'm gonna have to show my boys again because next week part of our ramp up is we're gonna really be going for legit bedtimes again. We're going camping this weekend, so of course things are gonna be off. When we come back on Monday, it's back to legit bedtimes and getting ready for getting up at the right time because we're gonna have to get up even earlier than we did last year. It's a totally different transportation situation than we had been doing for the last 3 years. So,
Yes.
it's a dry run for me, for everyone, for all of us, right? One of the things that really works in our family too, aside from the checklists, is that the boys have some things that they have to do in the morning, and one of them is feed the dog. That's somebody else's job, not mine.
Mhm.
Using our smart home device, the Alexa, to remind you. And also, she also gives a little countdown too. She's like, 2 minutes till you have to leave for school. Now it's time to leave for school. So that just is so that because there's the time unawareness in our family runs deep with all four of us.
Mm.
So to have someone just say, "Hey, it's 2 minutes before you have to leave." Hey, instead of just saying "leave now," it's helpful to
Yes.
have like 5 and 2 and leave now. So that just gives us an awareness of like what's going on. Because even with my family, even if I say 5 before you have to leave, that's almost too much time. That's too much time to you can like get lost
Right.
at the 5 minutes and think you have extra. So 5, 2, and go is what we have for our family as far as like leaving the house and on weekday mornings. So that's helpful for us too.
Absolutely. We've been my child has because she's been homeschooled, she's always gotten up at almost whatever time she just gets up. And so I have started 2 weeks ago with this getting up earlier.
Yeah,
And so 2 weeks ago, we started getting up at 7:30, and then this week we've been doing 7, and then next week we're doing 6:30.
that's the way to do it. That's much smarter than what we're doing. We're just going cold plunge, cold turkey next week. Just everybody's schedule has been so different for the summer,
Yeah.
so that we haven't really adhered to it. So
But
next
your
week,
kiddos have done this before. Mine hasn't, which is
yes,
why I wanted to give this long ease in,
very smart. Yeah,
and also, like you said, found some research explaining to her about the importance of having a regular bedtime.
right.
That sort of thing is so helpful. And for those listening on the podcast, our website is bywdreams.com and sign up, and we will send you our countdown to the new school year lists.
Yeah.
One other big tip that I do want to give is to if you are able to take your kiddo to the new school, especially if it's a new place for them. So if this is a transition or they're starting at a new school, and see if there's a way that you can do a tour, walk around. There's so much uncertainty about new locations. Like it naturally creates anxiety. Natasha and I are big brain science nerds. New locations just naturally kind of create anxiety in humans. And they have so many other things they have to think about. They have to, meet new teachers maybe. They have to maybe make new friends. They're taking actual academic classes that I really wanted to do everything I could do to make her feel comfortable in the new location.
Mhm.
And fortunately, a couple of things we were able to do were some summer bridge programs being run by the school. And so maybe this is something for you to think about next year, listeners, because maybe it's too late now. But summer bridge programs, it wasn't widely advertised. Like literally less than 10% of the kiddos who qualify for this have been doing it. So I was kind of surprised at how small it's been. And so you might have to look it up. But I'm so glad we've done it because she has now spent 2 weeks on the campus
Yeah.
without having to take any academic classes.
Yeah.
You know, she's made friends early, she's met some professors or teachers. I'm calling professors, I think they're in college. Um,
Listen, they almost got a promotion.
and yeah, she's met some teachers early and, you know, she knows where the bathrooms are. She knows where the gym is. She knows where the water fountains are. And I just feel like I can just see how much less anxious she is about this change
100%.
because she's familiar with the location.
Yeah, right. My son did a summer bridge. It was 2 weeks. He only got to do 1 week. But when we were there for orientation yesterday, I was like, "Oh, we have to meet in the dining hall." He's like, "This way, mom." You know, and he showed me, and it's a big campus, a huge
Yeah.
campus. So he's gotten a lay of the land, and actually, it's funny because they call it the land. They actually call the campus the land. So he got the lay of the land.
Yeah, because these campuses, these LAUSD high schools are what? How many acres would you say they are? 10 acres? And
Huge.
they're big. They're really big.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is unique to at least the high school I went to was one building, 3 stories. Here in
Mm.
California, it's like multiple buildings, 1 story. So you're changing buildings when you're changing classes, right? You're not just in one building. I think it's just back where I grew up on the East Coast, like you had weather, so you just stayed inside, that unpleasant weather. The other thing that I would mention is, if your kiddo is transitioning into a school now that uses lockers where they haven't before, even if
Right.
you don't have, if it's a lock you provide yourself, get it now, get it early, let them practice opening that up because, in between classes, it's opening a lock on a locker is like a new skill that they have to learn. So
Right.
my young one, he got it early in the summer. He's been practicing. He's got it down really fast because he's into like Rubik's cubes and stuff like that and doing things fast, right? So he's got his locker down fast. So maybe you still have a week or more. Some people are going back after Labor Day. Your kid still has time to practice a locker, even if it's a lock that's embedded in the locker itself. Just let them play with the master lock so they get the whole rhythm of it, right?
Feel. The
Three
right, left, right.
Exactly, that whole thing. So they get the feel of it, even if the numbers are different.
Yeah.
Play with that. Let them get used to that so that it's not a whole nother set of pressure on top of, oh my gosh, I got to get to class. Oh my gosh, I can't get my locker open.
Right. Yeah, because that would be a lot of pressure. And then, I think one of the final tips in terms of the new school year is to do the drive. If this is a new drive for you, do the drive at the time that you're gonna be doing it, and then allow yourself another 10 minutes or, 10% longer because once school starts, we know that traffic adds up, at least in LA. Like, the difference between non-school traffic and school traffic is very noticeable.
Very noticeable.
My husband's always excited when summer starts because his traffic goes down, his commute is shorter, and then
Yeah.
when school starts, he complains about how the commute is longer. So do the drive and then give yourself a buffer knowing that that's not exactly how long it's gonna take.
And if you have bus, bless you. God bless you. If you get bused, some schools get to bus, some districts are busing. Good for you. Excellent.
Yeah.
Good job. That's a little dicey in LA. It depends. But hopefully these have been helpful hints and tips for you. If you have thoughts, tips, or resources, please comment and share because all of everything that we talked about here, I have gleaned from lots of different places on the internet, lots of different parent friends and things, and of course my own experience, right? So we've cobbled this together, and I'd love to get more information. If you've got some tips and tricks and hints, please share.
Absolutely. Hey, we might add them to our countdown sheet. And again, if you wanna get our countdown sheet, go to bywdreams.com, sign up for our mailing list, and we will send those out. And one last thing is, hey, when the school year starts, maybe put a little note in there to take yourself out for something that you enjoy, to pat yourself on the back for a job well done on getting the kiddos ready for the new school year. I know
Yeah.
I have a little note for something that I'm going to be rewarding myself with because honestly, the last 4 weeks have been nothing but prep for school. Like we have not done travel in this time period because this has been such a huge transition for my kiddo that I really just wanted to, like, flatten it out and make it as smooth as possible, and so there are a lot of things that I haven't done in the last 4 weeks that I might usually do, and I have a note for, once her first week of school is completed, that I am rewarding myself
Girl,
with.
I'm gonna do that too. That's very smart. I'm doing that too. I have a gift certificate to a massage place that's been burning a hole in my pocket. I'm gonna set that up. I'm gonna go ahead and make that happen.
Yeah, reward yourself for a job well done. It just makes everything more pleasant. It makes it more likely for you to do it again next year, to take the time out to make this transition, and it's just everything's smoother at home. So, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Dream
Dream
wild.
wild, wild dreamers. Thanks for joining us for the Harness the Power of Planning podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen.